All right, let's take a look at the market moves today. So the market's just closed and it's closed at the high of day across the board. Now, yesterday I did a video intraday and I think it was pretty much at the high of day because if we just look at yesterday's candle, the market's just closed, I mean, pretty bearishly, I would say, a lot more bearishly than at the time that I was doing the recording. So had I done the recording at the end of day yesterday, I would have been a lot more bearish actually. But then today, straight away, we have a I don't want to call it a reversal because it was still, not incredibly bearish yesterday. But we have a very strong day today, and that does surprise me a little bit. Now, I don't expect a tremendous amount of moves tomorrow because the day after is CPI, this all important Thursday CPI number that'll come out, US CPI, and I think that will determine the move for the next 2 weeks. So, if it's what would it be? If it's a very high CPI, I mean, high inflation number, even though it's kind of fudged data, let's be honest. But, if the data suggests inflation is high or higher than expected, then the markets will go down. They should go down because then, the market will consider the Fed being more hawkish for longer. And if the inflation numbers are lower than expected, then great, we're winning. The Fed's winning the fight against inflation, so you can expect the pivot sooner. So, I mean, basically, I feel like tomorrow doesn't really count. And even the day after, Thursday, the data comes out, I believe the data comes out. Let's look at it very quickly. Oh no, it comes out kind of early. So I think it will set so Thursday we can expect immediate volatility upon the open and then just, depending on the direction, let's see. If the numbers are, like I said, if the numbers are high, so the high CPI data, then you can expect downside. And you know what? I think that will instantly just guarantee, if I can say that, just moving lower. I was thinking about it. What would the chart look like if we had a move lower? Well, it would just be lower highs, right? Like here, lower high here, lower high here, lower high here, and then this would also be another lower high. And you just have the market sort of, tomorrow, let's say it's sort of sideways, and then boom, CPI comes out high, down we go, and immediately it's a bit like the dollar, it's testing its lows. It goes sideways, and to be honest, Friday we'd probably close here. And that will guarantee you, I mean, that is not ugly, but that's a very weak, a perfectly weak chart pattern. Just lower highs, again, failed at the descending, comes back down. I'm looking at the the SPY here, comes here, and then the week after, it's just like, all right, let's test this. And then we bounce, and then bam, down we go to new lows. Now, that's if the CPI data is very high. If it's low, then I don't know. It'd probably go up and test this zone again, this zone over here. So I think Thursday is the all important day. I think everyone's known that the whole week, so we kind of got a small bounce, but I think we're just going to play and continue to trade in a tight range. The Nasdaq, they all sort of had similar close at high of day. Now that's bullish, but because of what's coming on Thursday, I think what we'll do is tomorrow we'll probably test the high here. This sort of high. At least on the Nasdaq, and then we'll just sort of drift sideways until the CPI, at which point either we go up here and test this descending or this horizontal, or we just flush lower. And you can bet the Nasdaq will take out this low very quickly if the CPI is too high, and we'll be flushing this zone very quickly. Now I think the Nasdaq will lead all of the markets lower. The Dow Jones, same thing, so it'll venture higher. Maybe tomorrow test this old high from yesterday. But I don't think it will venture too much higher because of Thursday come down. And what will happen on the Nasdaq is if we do venture lower, we'll go sideways around here. And finally, we'll start to come back down. Yes, we might bounce a little bit off this descending again. But if not, then down here. And then, just like a staircase down, really. The Russell 2000 was very strong today. I think it was the strongest in the sea. I mean, it went up more than twice percentage-wise the others, but also it closed above yesterday's high. So I was pretty surprised to see that. But again, same thing, it doesn't really matter until Thursday. The VIX caught me a bit by surprise. I didn't expect it to be down 6%. We're really venturing near the lows. This would be a great buy for those who are catching the high CPI print. So we're going to see, but it's a broken indicator for me. Let's look at yields very quickly. I'm going to go through this quite quickly because, okay, ignore this print here. This is just some algorithm issue, but basically sideways. When you're not even up 1%, not up or down 1%, it's basically sideways. The 2-year, you can see it's holding support for now, and it'll probably hold support until Thursday. So I expect this support to hold till Thursday for obvious reasons. The 5-year, same thing. We've also got the ascending support, so it should be pretty strong around here. So I definitely expect that to hold until Thursday. 10-year, okay, if it comes back down, it will hold. It looks like it wants to hold just above this support zone. And 30-year here. I mean, if you've got support on the 2 and the 5 here, then that will also help the 10 and the 30 hold support wherever it is, and it happens to be higher than its own respective trend line. So I expect basically sideways movement until Thursday. So I'm not going to spend too long on that. That's yields. Let's look at the dollar. The dollar today just sort of drifted sideways. We've got a pure doji. It's quite strange for it to see it hold support here. Maybe this was just a little fake flush and then back up. But again, I don't expect much tomorrow. And it's all about Thursday. I mean, it's done its big move down. It hasn't come back down to pure support. And if we do have let's think about this. If we do have a high CPI number, then I expect the dollar to go up because it suggests more aggressive rate hikes, which will be supportive for the dollar. But if we have a low CPI, which suggests, the Fed's winning on inflation, so the pivot's coming earlier, then yeah, the dollar can come back down, and I think it will test this support. So let's see, same sort of thing. Let's look at commodities, and I'll stop off very quickly and natural gas, because this surprised me. We've come all the way back down to test the low, and actually we've closed below the low from 2 days ago. So I actually don't expect this to come back, even though technically this suggests a move lower. Well, I mean, it could still happen, obviously, but I still think this is a buy. I don't really care about that. But then again, I'm not buying the one stock that I'm using to trade this. So, but yeah, 8% down is quite a lot. Still, this zone looks pretty safe for a first tranche in. I don't know if anyone's trading natural gas, but this looks like a nice little buy. And then give it some room, give it some room until maybe 2.5-ish, which is quite a big move down, actually. So if you're scaling in, I'm sure there are a lot of people trapped up here. So if this is your first buy and then you're leaving a minus 25% drop for your next buy, I think you can be pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you got a good average, which would be basically $3. Yeah, for a long-term trade. I don't know who's trading that. It's just I'm finding it quite interesting at the moment. Let's look at gold and silver. So 1880 for me was again resistance today. So that thesis holds, but still that was my highest. That was the top of the range of the resistance for this zone. So 1880 is still resistance, but we're only $3 away, and we have a higher close than yesterday. I'm going to be honest, that still looks pretty bullish. So, and a bit like every other asset, we're going to go sideways. And then what happens if we have if we have a high print on CPI, we should come all the way back down. And to be honest, I expect support just where it was before, because it would also coincide with the ascending line here. So if we were to come back down violently, not tomorrow, the day after, so here, honestly, I really expect 1820-ish, call it 1825. Obviously, it will go plus or minus $5 or something, but I still expect 1825 to hold. Good buy zone. And then you have to see, it might actually come all the way back down again, because it's had a crazy move up. It might as well overshoot the downside a bit. But You'll probably stop off here and then bounce a bit. But anyway, the point is everything depends on Thursday. So there's no point really in over analyzing the technical. If you remember this red day, or if you remember any asset class, we reverse. For example, the dollar, it reminds me of the dollar. It looked beautiful technically, and then bam, you get your news. I forgot what the news was. What was that news that sent everything lower? It was the NFP and the ADP, those two numbers, so it ruins the chart. So I don't want to over analyze the technicals, to be honest, because in 2 days, it'll be ruined. But, for now, I can just say gold still looks strong, but that's where I think support will be if we have a drop, 1825. And also, if we have a move up, well, we'll take out 1900. We'll go and test 1900. And to be honest, especially on news, and plus round numbers like to get broken and pumped to the upside. I expect 1909, actually, maybe even 1919. I really like these sort of odd numbers just below the 10 unit increments, especially 0, 9, and 19. I've had a very good history with that. I feel like there's a ladder theory where, especially 19, that's always a good one. Anyway, that's something else. So yeah, 1900, 1919 on the upside and 1925 on the downside to be checked later for the downside. Silver, you can still see, look, it was red again today. Underperforming gold still. It doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of resistance. And to be honest, if we have so tomorrow I expect nothing sideways, maybe even drift lower because it's just by default a bit weak at the moment. If we move higher, I still expect the same zones of resistance. But okay, so I don't expect much tomorrow. We probably won't be able to take out $24. But if we have a low CPI print, for example, and the metals go up, everything goes up. At least that's what should happen. I still think silver will find it pretty hard to take out all of this resistance. Now, I'm sure it will go all the way up to 24.5, which is a pretty decent move, almost 4%. It could even go higher in one day. That's kind of, it'll probably, I don't know, if it did go high, it'd probably go all the way up here and then close below 24.5. I could imagine something like that. But yeah, the point is, I think it would still be asking quite a lot for it to be closing above 25. So let's see. The point is, this is definitely confirmed strong resistance, not just from the trend lines, but from the multiple days that we've just got these wicks and the underperformance around here. So anyway, let's see. It's really all about Thursday, but I just thought I would do a quick recap. Finally, GDX and GDXJ, actually, they were quite strong, a bit like the markets. So I feel like they're following the markets more than the metals at the moment. It sort of switches a little bit. Overall, kind of strong, especially if again, yesterday's candle was pretty bearish, but look at that. So again, let's see what happens for Thursday. On the upside, we've still got 33 on GDX. On the downside, probably prior resistance, let's call it 30. GDXJ on the upside, we'd probably take out this. This is way too close. We might even do it tomorrow just for fun. Yeah, I'd say on the upside, 42. It's a big move, but I think it could do it. 42 on the upside for GDXJ on Thursday if the reaction is bullish, and on the downside 38, and then probably lower, probably test the ascending support actually if we go lower. I don't think we'll go lower in one day, but the next day maybe. Yeah, and I'd say the same thing for GDX actually. If we go lower than 30, then ascending support. Oh no, I always finish with Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the same forecast. And here, obviously, Thursday, maybe, you got to think about this. Bitcoin seems to want to drift higher and test this descending, at which point Thursday will arrive perfectly. It's funny how technicals coincide with news events, or even geopolitical surprise events. It always seems to happen. But here you can see, yeah, let's see what happens. I feel like Thursday comes, if everything turns bearish because inflation is too high, bam, we come all the way back down, maybe 16,500, and then test the lows and flush. And then when you zoom out, it's just another one of these higher lows, lower highs, lower lows. if it's bullish and everything goes up, then it will probably break out right on target, and then it will be a perfect technical breakout. And then you'll get those people who say, "Oh, it's because of the news," and for me, it's sort of, yeah, obviously it's because of the news. That's the catalyst momentum, but in the end, it's all in the chart. So Bitcoin, like every other asset, depends on Thursday, but it's funny how it's technically sort of gearing up for Thursday. I think that is all I will cover for today. Yeah, everything else sort of fits into what we've just looked at. So yeah, have a good day. I'll still do a video tomorrow, but I can tell you already my conclusion will be let's wait and see about CPI on Thursday. So otherwise, good luck. Enjoy your evening.